I'm going to demonstrate the integration of testing and service virtualization components in the cloud into a continuous integration process using Urban Code Deployed and RQM for test execution reporting. At Planit, we have built a small demo application that is composed of a backend that consumes two publicly available APIs, Australia Posts, postcode lookup, and Open Weather Maps weather forecast search APIs. To test this application, we have developed two virtual services in Rational Integration Tester and deployed into RTVS to be used in place of the postcode and weather public APIs, a UI automation tool using Selenium, and a performance test using Rational Performance Tester. The continuous integration process that I'm going to demo gets triggered by the check-in and push of the demo application source code into Git. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change a small part of the application and commit that to GitHub. Urban Code monitors the Git server for a new version every 5 minutes, and as soon as the newly published version is detected, Urban Code pulls the changes, creates a new version within its configuration, and kickstarts the pre-configured application process within the pre-configured environment. Here we can see Urban Code importing the latest version. Once that version has been imported, then we'll see the proper process getting started. Okay, now let's go into the process. The application process first uninstalls the previous version of the application, then starts a virtual service which we can monitor through the RTCP console. Once the virtual service is started, then the application is deployed. After the deployment is finished, the automation test gets started. We can track this either by the shell output log or by looking at the virtual services console and see how many hits we're getting as a consequence of the automation test getting executed. Once these tests finished, we can see the result of those executions in RQM. Following the automation test completion, the performance test using Rational Performance Tester is started. We can again track the execution of the Rational Performance Test by looking at the RTCP console and seeing how many requests the virtual services are getting. So now we should start seeing the virtual services hit more than a couple of times as the performance test is executing. With the performance test completed, the last step is to stop the virtual services that were started at the beginning of the process. Now we can see again in RTCP, we can see the virtual services will change the status to stop. And once all these processes have finished, we can go to Rational Quality Manager and review the execution status of our 3 tests. Okay. our stopping the virtual service is still running. As soon as that finishes, there we go. Our virtual services are stopping, and now we can go to RQM to review the execution status of each of the tests. So for the weather test, if I refresh my test results, I can see the latest one executed 2 minutes ago with the status passed. Same thing, if I go and look at my Selenium postcode test, it has a status of failed. I need to refresh it. There we go. Executed 2 minutes ago, status failed. And if I go to my performance test in RQM and refresh it, I have the test run 1 minute ago with status passed. Now, this concludes my demo of using Urban Code to integrate testing assets and service virtualization components into a continuous integration process.